Did I say I make videos whenever I feel like it? Because I do. I'm feeling it right now. Okay, cool. Hi guys, my name is Sel, and I'm here to make a makeup video. Why? Because I miss it. I miss doing my makeup. I had an eye infection for like 2 months, and I couldn't wear anything on my face, or at least not on my eyes, so I couldn't wear eyeshadow, I couldn't blend. So I guess this is me testing to see whether or not I still have the skills, the limited skills that I formerly had. I'm going to do my makeup first and listen to some tunes that I have in my playlist, so let's get into it. First on my list, 5 Sauce Baby. And yeah, that's me not realizing that this video was going to be monetized. So first I start with this primer from Tony Moly. It just completely mattifies your face without drying it out. It minimizes your pores and makes those red bumps really sort of flatten out on your face, which is why I love to put it literally everywhere, as you can see here. Then I do a little bit of Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in a very light color all over my eyelids to cover up that discoloration and just dab it away all over my lids with my fingers. Then I take the first palette that I worked with, which is the Through My Eyes palette from Colourpop, and I take this very light color to just dust it all around my eyes with a very light brush just to set the concealer. Then I take a slightly darker color just to start building the edges a little bit with a smaller, a little bit more denser brush. I like a cat eye shape, and I'm trying to shape it out sort of like a shadow outline before we really start with the colors we want to start with. Using the same brush, I give a little bit more depth to the shape that I had already made. The key to a good eyeshadow look is a lot of different layering of kind of the same shade to create that gradation all over your crease. And here's me jamming out some more to copyrighted music. And now taking a bit of a denser brush, I'm just going to keep blending out without any product on the brush just to make sure the shape is perfect. With a fluffier brush and a little bit denser, I will take a darker shade and just keep deepening that shape that I like. With the cat eye technique, it's good to sort of start in a line from the end of your eye up and then start blending in circles inwards into your crease and above it if you have smaller and hooded creases. And then with a flat and tiny brush, I'm taking that deep color that will be all over the lid. And that's me getting shocked at how pigmented it was at first. With eyeshadow that's on the lid specifically, I like to start in the center and as close to the lash line as possible, and then start working my way out just so the color is more concentrated and you have more control rather than starting at the crease, because when you move up you have more room to blend out, and when you start by the creases you really have nowhere else to take it up. Going back to the fluffy brush we use for the transition shades, I'm just gonna blend out the edges of that lid color with no extra product. And this is just a sort of eyeball back and forth. I keep layering the lid color and I keep blending it out until I get the desired pigmentation that I want on my lid. And then I try to relax my lids and look outwards like how I would look into a mirror or a person's eyes rather than downwards, just so I can try to figure out the shape and whether or not it looks good when I'm keeping my eye as naturally relaxed as possible. So once you get the center color down, you can start sort of shaping out the crease that you want. And then you just keep blending and adding and blending, and that's how you get a good blended out technique. And then I can't decide which brush to use, but then I figure out that the smaller is probably the better one, and I just keep blending out to make sure there are no more harsh lines and that the colors completely blend together. And then here is me trying to show you a really good part from RUEL's song, but I am clearly feeling it way too much for someone who is not even gonna put the right song in the background, so I'm so sorry. But this song is great, and there's a breakdown in the middle of the song towards the end, and it's beautiful. You'll know it when you hear it. Please listen to it, because clearly I love it. And then I just keep blending it outwards, because now my eyes are relaxed and I know how far up I want it to be. And then for the final punch, I like to use my fingers just to make sure that that additional wow pigment is there. And then of course you want to use the tips of your fingers to really have control as to where you're putting these shades. And it doesn't stop there. I keep going back and forth with another brush just to blend it out. Jam out some more. And now I'm taking this darker color from the purple Colourpop palette. And you will soon see that it was a mistake. And I start doubting myself. Realize that I can just go back with a smaller brush to move around the pigment the way I really want it to look. When you start working with outer corner, it's best to use a small brush, a detailed one, and then blend out, just so you can sort of stamp the product and then blow it out, you know, instead of stamping it with a huge one and then making the mistake that I did. And of course, to make sure everything is well threaded together, I take more of that purple shade and put it around the outer corner to blend it around. Here is a closer look of the eye look semi-done. It's supposed to look a little soft and like a light dusting that is actually quite complex. And then of course I thought that the glitz was not enough and I had to amp it up with this shade right here. This is a duochrome shifty sort of shade, and it becomes light once it's catching the light, but it's actually quite a pinky base. If you ever feel like a look isn't complete, a great way to amplify it is to put a very, very shimmery shade in your inner crease. That's going to catch the light right where the high points of your eyes are, not your brow bone, but in the inside, and then it just makes it look like a disco ball on your lid. Of course, again, I use my fingers because I really want control in this and I want the high shine. And if you ever make any mistakes, you can just go in with tissue. This is why we do the eye look first and not the face. And then I'm just taking out that transition fluffy brush, super thin but fluffy and no product, just blending it out. And because it covered up the purple a little bit, I'm gonna go back in and make sure that the purple is still the statement piece. Of course, if you're not sure, you can do what I did and test it out on your arm to see if it sparkles the way you want it to, but I wanted to tone down the pink base of that duochrome shift and put a little bit more of an icy, cooler shadow in my inner corner just to make sure it's not like a block of pink right there. We want gradation on the outer corners and the crease, and we also want the gradation in the inner corner. We want everything to look cohesive and blended out. Moving on to our base, I'm going to use the Fit Me Maybelline foundation. I was going to say concealer again. I know it's nasty that I'm using what's left over on like the cap, but I'm not about to waste product, okay? Even though this is cheap drugstore makeup, we gotta use every last cent. And I'm just using my fingers to blend it out because, again, I like the control, I like the seamless look it gives me, no marks, and if we use the fingers first, then we can use the brush to blend it out so we're not wasting the product in the brush. I'm using a pretty thin stippling brush. This is just to smooth out any product that might be piling up on the skin and making sure that it's an even coating and it's sinking into the pores. And then I go back in with my finger, stamping what I need to be there. I also want to make sure that it's completely controlled around the eye look because we don't want to use something huge that will disrupt or smudge anything that we've already done with our masterpiece, you guys. Don't forget to put it on the neck as well, of course. And then for under eye concealer, I like to use this Bobbi Brown one. She has a pinkier undertone, so it's pretty good at canceling out the death under my eyes. And again, I just like to use my fingers because I feel like any kind of tool likes to take away the product, which I want it concentrated here, and I want to make sure it doesn't cake up. Plus, again, using the fingers around the eye look gives you the control you need, and you can actually clean it up better. I also use this concealer to spot conceal. And then I use that lighter shade we used on the eyelid right where I want to highlight, just a small amount so it doesn't cake up. I want it under the eye, and then I want to bring that sort of up and outwards, like a little Botox hack. And then on the nose, forehead, a little bit on the chin, not a lot. I think Instagram makeup goes that mile further and puts it everywhere, which is nice on camera, but I like to make all of my looks wearable in real life too, and having just little dots of highlight makes it much more natural. Now I'm taking my Shade and Light palette and I'm using the contour shades. The biggest mistake I always make is that I put it too low, so I start off right where I want it to end on top and then I go downwards. So you don't want to blend from your cheek up, because it's not supposed to look like a block of contour on your cheeks. It's supposed to mimic the shadow that's coming from sort of like near your ear. And then I shade in my forehead a little bit, that big alien head, and then of course the jawline, and then it's not on the jawline but a little bit underneath it, blending it out into the neck so it doesn't look like a stamp. And then using a flatter, tiny brush, I start to contour my nose. I'm not too particular about this, I just use the natural shadows that are already on there just to make sure that the dimensions come back after we flatten it out with foundation. And then I blend it out with my finger. I think this softens it up. I don't like a harsh nose contour. For blush, I use this janky ass little thing, but the color is perfect. It matches everything, and I use a sort of like flat brush. And yeah, I just follow the cheekbones. It's kind of like when people apply bronzer, that's where I apply my blush. I use it as a sculptor because I think it's supposed to lift your face up instead of just put color on your cheeks. And I put a little bit on my forehead. For eyebrows, I'm just using this Kiko thing. I don't believe in expensive eyebrow products, I don't think it's necessary, but I fill in with little strokes and then brush it out. And I interchange brushing out and filling in the way that I do with my eyeshadow. I think that's the best way to apply any kind of makeup, is to go back and forth. For eyebrow gel, I'm using this cheap Essence thing that was probably like €3, and I use as little as possible, and I just use it to tame these little caterpillars. For highlight, I'm just doing it on a tiny brush and then blending it out with my finger. I think that's the best way to get the control that I need. For the lash line, I'm using this pencil brush and I'm stamping out this pink color. You want as little pigment as possible and then blend it out. You don't want to go too heavy because we've already done our under eye concealer. To make sure it's precise, I like to drag it down a little bit and make sure that I get it as close to the lower lash line as possible. This also makes sure that I don't disperse the product everywhere and have to clean up after myself. And then to tie it together, I use that purple shade at the outer corner of the lower lash line, just so that it's cohesive again. And for a little bit more drama, I'm taking this purple eyeliner and I'm tight lining my upper lash line, which is not an easy task. I don't like doing this. And I definitely hurt myself quite a few times. And I always curl my lashes. When you curl your lashes, you want to bring your mirror towards you, not bring yourself towards the mirror, just to make sure you don't have any accidents and you get all up in there. Make sure all of your lashes are being curled. And then usually the eyelash curler takes a bit of the product away, so I just stamp a little bit more on the lids. And I'm using a cheap mascara that's like also €3 from Essence. This is the Lash Princess, I believe. Then I had a little oopsie. You should just let this dry and then remove it with a little bit of micellar water. So I finished the look. I put on some lipstick, some lip gloss. At first, I felt like it got really dramatic when I put the purple on, and now that I've got the pink underneath the lower lash line, it looks like the purple looks very subdued. It looks very chill. Like I could totally take it further, put some fake freckles on, put some rhinestones on, but I wanted to keep it chill. Like this is the first time I put on makeup in a long while. I'm just happy that I can still blend eyeshadow. She still got it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you did, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please comment what kind of makeup looks you'd like to see. Yeah, I think this is my first video using Colourpop products, and I genuinely enjoy these shadows, so check these palettes out if you'd like, and have a good day wherever the hell you are. Sorry for swearing. Bye!